pleasant day to you all. This is Chafazo Barnabas Marange from Mhasho Creations. On today's show, we are joined by Mhasho, the co-founder of Prowess Technologies. I hope the show will be quite informative at the same time entertaining. How and when did you start the company?
Hi, my name is Mhasho. Thank you for having me on this platform. So the question is how and when did you start the company? So we started the company in 2016. Yeah, I think late 2016, around November. But when we started the company, it was an idea which I had during attachment, when I was at college. So we shared this vision with one of my colleagues when we were at attachment. We met at attachment while we were at city council in the IT department. So when we met there, we actually worked together there at city council. That's when we actually knew each other and knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. So during that time, we just agreed that we should start when we finish college. We should start our own enterprise. So we just discussed it as an idea. So fast forward, when I finished my degree in 2016 June, so I started applying for jobs, online vacancies and etc. But to my disappointment, I didn't get any response from all the applications I did, either online and the other ones which I posted through mail, through the post office, through the mail delivery system. So I didn't get any response. So this then pushed me to start working on the idea which I earlier had. So I communicated with Tinashe, who happens to be my other co-director for Prowess Technologies, which is our company. And then I told him that let's meet up, because someone gave me an idea saying that we should start approaching schools and servicing computers in schools, because that gentleman was already doing business with schools, but he was mainly doing stationery. And he said that he came across a couple of schools which required services such as computer repairs. So when I met with Tinashe, we then agreed that we should start, but we didn't have any money. Even we didn't save any. So, but we just agreed that we should just start, because we believe that even if we didn't have capital, but the fact that we had the skills which we gathered while we were at attachment city council there, we just believe that we should use that skill and start from there. So that's how we started. The little man which we had, I think we had $10 US pulled between us So we just took that money and then we went and bought some screwdrivers. I remember we went to electro sales. We bought our precision screwdrivers, the ones used for opening laptops. Yeah, we just bought those, and yeah, those were our first tools. And then we started moving around schools, small companies, telling them that we repair computers, and that's how we started. And then that was early 2017, and then mid 2017 we took the money which we had gathered from the previous services, from the services which we were doing. And then we went and registered our company. It wasn't much, and we didn't register private limited, but we registered a PBC. A PBC is quite cheaper as compared to a private limited, because that time around a PBC was going for 60 US, right? Yeah, and then we managed to register our PBC. It was quite cheap, and it was also faster in terms of getting the whole process done, so that we get our documents. Yeah, so basically that's how we started, and then we just went from one organization to the other, from one school to the other, one individual to the other. And we didn't have an office by then. We took the job home if we didn't finish the job, and we also used my father's premise in town. My father has a restaurant in town, so we just asked it for a small space where we could pay our laptops during the day, so that after we've done fixing it, we would take it to the client. So basically that's how we started, and yeah, it was quite hard. Yeah.
How would you describe your early days as a company? For instance, how your priorities changed from when you started?
The early days as a company was tough. Was really hard, because you know how it is when you try to struggle to maintain you're trying to have more income so that you can cover up your expenses, but at the same time you don't have a big client base, you don't have walking customers. You have to approach customers and make them believe, so that they give you business, and then so that at the end of the month you cover up your expenses and stuff. So it was really hard, those kind of thoughts where you think that you should give up, they were already crossing my mind, so it was really difficult, I must say. And when you talk of priorities, yeah, definitely my priorities changed when we started our company. Since we were struggling in terms of finances, we didn't look much into our own personal lives, like buying nice clothes or having a good meal. It was all about our company. Have we covered our expenses? Have we paid our bills? So in terms of priority, people started saying that I no longer I'm becoming antisocial. That was because I was giving full time on our company. My whole energy was on it, trying to make it move forward, trying to stepping up the game. So we would sleep late, fixing our company profile, trying to come up with new ideas, how best can we convince this customer, and coming up with strategies. It was hectic. It was hectic. Yeah. So in terms of priorities, definitely they changed. My priorities changed.
Were there any early mistakes? And also, in knowing what you know right now from the mistakes that you made, were there any lessons learned? And is there anything you would have done differently with the knowledge that you have after some years in business?
Yeah, sure. We did a lot of mistakes. The entrepreneurial journey is full of mistakes, but the thing is, it's not about the mistakes. It's how you're going to take the mistakes. Are you going to take it as a learning curve, or are you going to kneel down and then just start crying on a mistake which you just did? But the thing is, you have to take each mistake as a learning curve, right? Yeah, and then try to avoid the same mistake as you move on. So we did a couple of mistakes. Talking of I learned that we did mistakes such as we overpromised some of our customers, and then at the end of the day we under-delivered. So in other words, it should work the other way around. We should add under promise the customers, then over deliver, so that at the end of the day they become delighted. Yeah. So those are some of the mistakes, and as well, as we were growing, we had to buy more stocks of a certain product, while the market was not responding quite okay. So you tie up most of your capital on a product which is not moving, just because you thought that that product would move on the market, would actually sell, but in return it didn't do well. So those are some of the mistakes which we did, but it was part of the journey, and it actually taught us how we should handle things, so that in the future you wouldn't repeat the same mistake. Yeah. So we took each step as a learning curve.
Looking in the sector that you've ventured into, the technology one, I see that it's a crowded one. Is there anything that you have tried to make your company unique from the other players?
So when we got into the IT sector, we are talking of services and products. Yeah, it was flooded. It was flooded. I think almost in every industry, there are already players which are already there when you come in. So when you come in, you're trying to look for a niche market, trying to harness on some of the opportunities in the market which you think other players are not concentrating on. So definitely the market was crowded, but not that crowded. There was still an opportunity, but for me, being crowded, it means that there is something, because if there wasn't something on the market, there was no reason for having players which are already there in the industry. So for me, it's actually a green light when you see more players in the market. The market which you want to get into. So But the thing is, when you get in the market, you try to be different, right? Try to be different, and also try to be best at what you're doing, right? So that when time moves, right, customers will start noticing you, and they will start coming to you. So there were players when we came in. It was a bit crowded, and our business is kind of, or was kind of, different from others in that we focused on the customer, which we found some of the players were not doing. We focused on the customer, trying to solve their problems. With IT, let's talk of computer servicing and computer repair. We would make sure that we actually engage with the customer, have a little chat. If it's repairing a laptop, we would actually get into a conversation where we would educate the customer on the things which they should do and they shouldn't do on their laptop, so as to increase the lifespan, and also highlighting issues which contributed to the problem. And then we would actually fix the computer, and then after fixing it, we would go an extra mile to clean up the computer, such that when we call the customer to come and collect the laptop, the first thing the customer would say is this my laptop? And they would say, yeah, this is your laptop. And they would say, oh, this is so clean, my laptop is looking fine today. I mean, it's so clean. And that would actually make the customers happy, such that they would refer other customers, which most of the guys in the industry were not doing. So customers will actually like our service more and prefer us over other service providers. So we focused more on the customer. What is it that the customer needs? We try to engage with the customer, and we try to go an extra mile an extra mile on what we have discussed and agreed with the customer. We would go further, like what I said, cleaning up the laptop, because when the customer came to the shop, we wouldn't mention about cleaning the laptop, but when he or she comes back, they will be overwhelmed and they will be so excited. So that's how different we were, and that's how different we are from other competitors or other players in the industry. We are more focused on the client. We engage even when a customer comes in, we actually engage into a conversation with the customer, especially, and then we also give advice to the customer. For example, when the customer wants to buy a router from us, a mobile router from us, we would actually give them a full explanation on what internet service providers are there on the market and their prices, and then we'd actually go further and ask where the customer lives, and then we'll give them advice based on their location, that in this area this type of network is good, and then depending on budget, depending on the use of the router, what does he or she wants to use it for. If it's for important meetings, that would mean that there will be needed an internet service provider who has fast internet and most reliable, and we would recommend on which service provider the customer would have. So that kind of a thing, customers were not getting it. that kind of service. They were not getting it from other players. So for us, it was a plus for us. Customers would resort to come to our shop other than going to other shops.
Which strategies did you use in marketing your company from the start or the mid? How did you market your company, or how do you market your company?
Yeah, we used a couple of strategies to advertise or market our business. We used Facebook. Yeah, we used Facebook. I remember at one time we got a supplier for laptops. The supplier had quite reasonable prices for laptops, so I think it was one of the cheapest suppliers whom we had. And then at that time the supplier was offering a very good price, and what we did is we just got a couple of laptops from that supplier, and we ran a promotion on Facebook, right, and even on in fact on our social media platforms. So we got a huge following. People asking, where is this shop? Where are you located? Yeah, we actually use on Facebook. We actually use the paid adverts. So we would get customers asking about that product all over Zimbabwe. They were asking, how can you get in touch? How can you buy? We are in this area. Can you send it through? Can you ship it to us? So that's how we marketed that's how we marketed ourselves. And also there's this concept which I learned at college, the concept called the loss leader. Yeah, this concept is one of the concepts which I used to market the business. Well, the concept is all about finding or identifying a product, within our product range, finding a product which most people would use, right? Which people would use, and it will be required more oftenly. So what I did is when schools were opening, right? When schools were opening, especially in January, so parents were buying bond paper for their children. They were requested by their schools to buy bond paper for their children, for them to submit it at the school. So what I did is I reduced the price for bond paper to almost the cost, right? So the price was one of the cheapest price in town. So when parents were looking for bond paper, they would actually ask one another that, where did you get this? Where did you get that? So in the process, they would mention, I got this bond paper from this other new shop. It's right in the corner there. It's called Prowess Technologies. They're the cheapest in town. So the thing is, that was the kind of conversations which we wanted the clients to have, that they would refer other customers to our shop, right? So for us, it wasn't for the profit of the bond paper, but rather the marketing, because either way, if we had put up a markup on the bond paper, we were still going to make profit. But for us, for advertising, we were going to pay as well. So we just thought, maybe let's just reduce it to almost the cost, close to the cost, and then put it out into the market. People would actually come to our shop and they would refer each other and then come and buy. And then that's how it got also popular, because when we visited some of our clients, even our new clients, how did you come to know about us? They would tell us that someone told me that you had very cheap bond paper, because in a setup, in an office setup, a bond paper would be a basic requirement in an office setup like in town. So that was one of the ideal products which we could use as a loss leader. So that strategy also worked to market our organization. Yeah.
What do you enjoy most from starting your own company?
Well, the thing I enjoy most on starting my own business is number one. There's what they call there's growth, right? Growth in terms of income. When you are employed, right, a salary increase would come maybe after 6 months, probably a year or two. That's when you get a salary increase, right? Consider that all things are constant, right? There's no inflation, there's no what. Yeah, that's how we get a salary increase. But when you have your own company, right, income will actually grow exponentially. So by exponential increase, I'm saying that like for the first 6 months, right, your income will be, let's say, flat, should I say, will be increasing gradually, right? Maybe after 6 months, after putting in a lot of work, maybe after putting in a lot of advertising and stuff, right, you find that the income which you got maybe for the first 6 months will actually double for the other 6 months. And then if you put more effort, right, it will actually triple or quadruple, right? But when you are employed, if you put more effort, probably they'll give you a 10% increase. And then if you put more effort trying to implement new strategies, blah 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 blah, but because you are employed, you never get a double increase or a triple increase. So that's one of the things which I enjoy most about having my own enterprise. What I know is that income will definitely increase exponentially. Yeah, and also it's the other thing is with having your own enterprise, it means that maybe you have to work for a certain period, let's say maybe 10 years if you put in enough effort, 10 years, 20 years, and then maybe after that you can actually have a system running such that at the end of 20 years you don't have to be directly involved in that enterprise for it to run. But in other words, you can be, you can move out and start working on other things while this enterprise runs on its own. But with employment, you have to work until you retire, and once you retire, no more income, and then that's it. That's the end of it. So I think that's how I derive benefit from having my own enterprise.
How has it been like surviving under the COVID-19 pandemic as a business?
Well, the pandemic, COVID-19, when it came, it hit us hard. So it was a bit challenging on our side, but despite the challenge. Prices went up, especially in the technology sector. Yeah, we're talking of laptop. You used to sell a laptop at $290, but now it's gone up to $490, $500. Same laptop we used to sell it at 200 and something. So it's been a major hit. It's been a major, disruption to us as a business. Most things have changed. Even the way we serve our customers. Everything has changed because of COVID-19. But the thing is, we have to stay positive. They say that for every new problem, it's actually a new opportunity. Yeah, so we have to change our mindset on how we look at things. Despite COVID affecting our sales, our normal sales, because of the normal way of doing business was hit by COVID. We had to change the way we do business, and also the market also changed as well, because when COVID came, that's when organizations, institutions introduced or they engaged more on online activity. Let's talk of e-learning. Let's talk of online meetings. So there was actually a big increase. There was actually a significant, significant increase in demand of gadgets. We're talking of laptops. We're talking of cell phones, because in schools, the students were advised to buy cell phones so that it would provide a platform for online learning. So the demand for cell phones actually went up thanks to ITIL, which is quite reasonable price when it comes to smartphones. Yeah, and then also we had other companies closing. We also had so our income was affected on the other hand. So a lot of things changed because of COVID. But nevertheless, we had to introduce some other ways of better serving our customers. Some of our customers would actually help them through the help desk facility, where we use some of the softwares available on the market to remotely connect to the client's laptop. We're talking of TeamView or AnyDesk. So we are now able to solve their problems, remotely without visiting the customer. And then also because of COVID, there was an increase in demand of, let's talk of mobile routers. Yeah, people started demanding those, mobile routers. The demand wasn't so high before COVID, but once COVID came, it changed everything. So because of COVID, we had negative impacts in that our normal way of doing business was affected, and then the normal products which you used to sell, some declined in terms of sale and some actually increased in terms of sales. So it was a bit disturbing, but it just required someone who was a bit agile, so that one would actually move with the new trends which we actually taking place. during the time of COVID. And then also talking of the lockdown, because we had a couple of months which business was totally closed. At that time we had zero sales, right? And then also, like as it is at the moment, businesses are closing at 3 p.m. while we used to close at 5. So 2 hours have been removed on our business hours. So you can imagine, 2 hours is a lot of time. In 2 hours we could have made a lot of sales, but it's because of COVID that we have this reduced time to work, time to open our doors for business. So it is what it is, and that's how we are coping as far as COVID is concerned.
What do you see your company to be in 5 years' time?
In the next 5 years, we see ourselves as Prowess, having presence in most of the cities in Zimbabwe, in our country. So we anticipate growth as we move on, and then we also anticipate to have more services on board. More services on board, services such as PBX, services also such as car tracking, just to mention a few. We are actually researching on these services, but as we move on, in the next 5 years, those services should be in place. We need to better serve our customers. We need to be we are a technology company, and we want to house almost every technological solution to our customers, right? And offer quality services. We are improving on our quality services, on our quality provision of services day by day. So within 5 years, it should be up to standard. We always like to keep our customers delighted. So 5 years from now, we see ourselves bigger and actually stronger. That's how we see ourselves in the next 5 years.